Well, hello again, and for the last few weeks I've not had much time to work on the Guzzi, but this parcel's just turned up, which should speed things up a wee bit. So let's see what's inside. And this has come from electrical supplier, and in here we've got all kinds of stuff, and it's come from here. Vehicle wiring products, a good place to go. Got loads and loads and loads of useful stuff. And what I've done is I've ordered sort of a top-up of various coloured wires for the wiring harness and various size sleeving to go with that, and that expands to fit maybe 10 or 15 wires if need be, and this sleeving can make the wiring harness much neater. And also what's in here is I've got some multi-pin plugs. I bought quite a few. That one's a 6, and that's a relay flasher for the indicators. And I've also got quite a few, 4s and 2s and 1s and whatever. So I'm kind of getting all set for making up the wiring harness. And all that doesn't come cheap. Looking at the invoice, all that came to £61 and 2p. But that's more than enough now for me to do the whole bike. And I've also got some wiring materials left over from my last 2 builds, so with that and this I should have more than enough to do the complete wiring harness. I've hit 1 or 2 small problems with the build which is holding up the wiring, one of which is the coils. The original coils were broken, so I ended up buying some Lucas coils which are a little bit bigger than standard, and I just cannot find a good home for them. They're just too big to fit in anywhere. Therefore, after some research, I think I'll get rid of that idea, and I'm going to have to buy a single fire coil destined for a Harley. They're much more compact, and a bit of research tells me they should work okay on the bike. So I'll have to order one of those soon, make a mount for it, get it on the bike, and then the wiring can commence. So in the meantime then, let's go and have a look how we've been getting on with other parts on the bike. Okay, so that's looking quite good. I think you've gone about 3 mil now, haven't you?
Yeah.
Ish. Maybe it would be better to be a bit closer to that edge, but it's too late now, so we'll go with that and we'll see what it looks like when it's done. So I've had a change of mind, having seen how that band was coming along, that raised band around the outside of the case. I didn't really like it, it didn't look right. So I've stopped that idea, and now we're going to go for a different idea of just having a stepped outside case. And hopefully that'll look a bit better, but we'll see. And so here it is after machining. It's now 60mm thick instead of 70, with a step in it rather than a band, and I think that looks a bit better. And so the next step is to machine out the centre so that this can go inside. And here's the rear light now. I've brought it home for the time being anyway. It's not quite finished yet, it still needs to be drilled at the base to allow the light to come out for the plate. I gave it a quick polish and it's looking okay. I may do a bit more work on it yet, maybe this is a bit too fat, we'll see. Quick close up. I think we're almost there now.
There now we are.
So we'll take off a few mil.
Yep. Tiny little burr on there.
That's okay, it's not too bad.
Let's just whiz that burr off.
Okay. So I think that's a lot better. And look at the front of it. It's a wee bit thinner now, it's a little bit neater I think, a bit lighter. And now we're just milling the slot in the base of that cover to let the light out from the number plate. It's been drilled already, and now it's just being milled nice and neat on the miller. And here's the finished rear light. It's now been machined down a wee bit, made thinner, lighter, and we've cut out this slot in the base, which allows the light out to illuminate the number plate. So that's a lot better now. I'm a bit happy with that. And the next step is to make a bracket to hold this and the plate to the back of the bike. And here we are a few days later, and a parcel's arrived from Cayenne with hopefully my crossover pipe. As usual, they pack it in the most messy way possible, but let's see what we can find in here. God, what a mess. And here it is. And here it is, brand new H-pipe, and now let's get that on the bike and see if it solves the problem I've got with lining up the silencer mounts. And before I fit the new parts, I'll put some copper grease on these parts here to help the balance pipe slide on a wee bit easier. And yeah, that looks like it might work. These now line up. It needs a spacer making to go from the bracket to this mount here, but apart from that, that looks a lot better. I'm quite happy with that, and it means I don't have to have a second bracket like this to connect this with this, so I'll call that a win. And so the next step is to measure how thick this spacer needs to be, and then we can get that made, and that's exhaust pipes done. Well, luckily I managed to find a spacer which I had to drill out to fit this, but that's not bad. It's aluminium though, and I want to make this one in stainless steel. Also I want to use a hex head on this bolt rather than a socket head, but at the moment I don't have any hex heads of the correct size, so again, that'll have to wait. But this will do for now. And so yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I've still got to decide on the paint scheme, what colour I want, what design I want to have on the bike, and that's not an easy thing to do. And I'm still flip-flopping about that. Should it be black and gold? Should it be red and gold? Should I leave the knee cutouts polished or paint them? I'm not sure yet, but it'll be a while before I can afford to get that paintwork done, so there's no rush yet. I'm still waiting for some coils to arrive, and when that arrives I can crack on with the electrics. And one more job I've got to do is find a home for this light. It needs to go somewhere around about here, that's fine, but I'm still pondering the best way of mounting it. I could take a bracket from beneath here and down, but I'm not sure about that. And I don't have a huge amount of clearance between the tyre and this seat, so I'm not sure about that. It may need to mount a little bit higher up. Now ideally I don't want to have lots of bolts in here, it would spoil the look, but I am thinking of making a curved bracket to follow this curve here, which would just be at the base of the seat hump, and then the number plate and the light could mount off that. That won't be easy to make because it'll have to be bent to follow this particular curve here, but I think it can be done, and it could look quite good. So that's my current idea, and I'll follow that up in a later video. But for now I can't really do much more, so I'm going to put the bike away in the garage and go and make myself a nice well-earned cup of tea. So until next time, thanks for watching and cheers.